What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Adventures Hour. We've got some juicy Star Wars news to get into today. Two main stories that I want to get into, both based on Sith Lords, both based on the dark side, and I am so here for it. So first up, we'll talk about the Sith Lords possibly being in the Acolyte show. Then I want to talk a little bit about Darth Vader and the team that helped bring Darth Vader to life from Kenobi, possibly being involved with the Ahsoka show. Now, this right here is a segment from the Diz Insider podcast where they are talking about Sith Lords and the Acolyte a little bit. Check this out.
We're talking about Darth Revan, folks.
Yes.
Which I hear they're going to bring in a lot of these legends.
Yep.
Darth Bane, Darth Nihilus, Darth Malick,
sick.
Darth Revan, all in Star Wars Acolyte. So we'll see.
Plagueis he mentions as well. I mean, that's pretty crazy, man. Talking about all of these different people, right? Malick, Darth Revan, Darth Bane, and Nihilus could be included in Acolyte. You know what's really interesting, too, is recently there have been some stuff coming out for the Rise of Skywalker, the art books and the art design. So check this out. This was literally concept art for having all of these different characters. Like, you've got Malick, you've got Revan, you can see Nihilus up here, and a bunch of different Sith. And this was originally going to be on Exegol. Some people have mentioned that this is actually even on Exegol in some of the more recent Darth Vader comics. And although we know very little about what's actually going on in the Acolyte, the idea of exploring the dark side, the idea of these Sith Lords being brought into canon, perhaps, oh man, like, wouldn't it be so crazy if, like, just give us some flashback sequences where you're telling the story of these people, and then, like that's all we need, right? Remember in Book of Boba Fett, where the armor is talking about the Great Purge, and you see those flashback sequences? I thought that shit was awesome, bro. So even something as little like that, with seeing the different dark side warriors of the past done on live action in some way, would be absolutely fantastic. It also kind of begs the question, like, will the Acolyte be involved on Exegol? Will some of the characters from Acolyte be, you know, followers of the Sith on Exegol? That would be kind of interesting, in a way to sort of tie that all through to Rise of Skywalker and to films past that. I know some of you guys are like, oh, sequel trilogy, and I get it, you know, but at the end of the day, Exegol, Sith, these are some of the coolest things from Rise. And so I wouldn't hate it at all if some of the stuff was brought in. And generally speaking, like, they were canonized in, I think, one of the books that was for Rise of Skywalker. This has obviously been on their mind with this concept art here. So, hey, man, Sith Lords and possibly Exegol having something to do with the Acolyte, I'm freaking here for it. Next up, let's talk about Darth Vader in the Ahsoka show. I want to go through this article here on Bespin Bulletin, and then we will talk about what this means. It says Darth Vader to appear in the Ahsoka series. Production on Ahsoka began just mere weeks ago, and though we've heard rumblings of actors being attached to the project, including Hayden Christensen, it's now being reported that Darth Vader may be making an appearance in the Mandalorian spinoff. According to a report by Making Star Wars, he's heard from at least two sources that Vader will be making an appearance in the upcoming television series, with signs pointing towards the series being Ahsoka. The report also adds that the voice of James Earl Jones will be used for Vader again, probably via that technology that they are doing here. And Bespin says, I can corroborate the claim from Making Star Wars that Darth Vader will be returning in an upcoming series, as I too have heard this from multiple sources in recent times, with my belief being it's likely the Ahsoka series premiering on Disney Plus sometime next year. So not concretely connected to that series, but they are hearing that the team that is, you know, works to create Vader and Hayden Christensen are being involved in something else on Disney Plus, and a lot of their signs and, you know, evidence sort of points to the Ahsoka show. Now, this is freaking wild, because I believe it was Deadline or one of the Hollywood trades put out a long time ago that Hayden Christensen is indeed going to be in that show, and they reported that he was going to be showing up as Anakin Skywalker. Many of us thought, wow, maybe Force Ghost Anakin, maybe a Clone Wars flashback with Ahsoka, you know, having a moment with Anakin. That would be absolutely wild. But having Vader in the series is a whole different ballgame. This would be absolutely absurd, and I have all kinds of thoughts about what could be going on here. One, that would be so damn cool, is if we got the fight between Vader and Ahsoka from Star Wars Rebels, the end of season 2, where they're on Malachor 5 and she gets sucked into the world between worlds. That fight was amazing in Rebels. And even if we get just a little bit of it done in like a flashback or a memory or something like that, that would be so damn cool. But you know what else is really crazy is the fact that after those events, Ahsoka basically has to live throughout the galaxy and she can't really interfere. She's not actually allowed to affect anything because she fears that it would break the timeline after being put into the world between worlds and knowing things about the future, right? So this is really unique to the Ahsoka character, but I would also love it if there was a moment where Ahsoka was perhaps in the presence of Vader or knew that Vader was doing something, but she was unable to interfere because she's not going to fight him. She can't change the path of history throughout the galaxy, and so she can't do that. There's really interesting opportunities to do some very fun stuff with Ahsoka, either visiting Force Ghosts with Hayden Christensen, having flashbacks to Hayden Christensen, having flashbacks to her fight with Darth Vader, or having moments in the canon where she is witnessing Darth Vader but unable to actually interfere because of the time stuff. Either way, man, I'm hyped up. I love Hayden Christensen coming back to Star Wars. Even though I wasn't crazy about Vader in episode 3, I still thought there was a lot of cool Vader stuff there, and I expect even more cool Vader stuff in the back half of the Kenobi series. A lot of people are resonating with having this character back, with having Hayden back, so I'm all freaking for it. I think it would be absolutely amazing. And then the Sith Lords and all that kind of stuff being in Acolyte, possibly being connected to Exegol, sign me up, man. It's days like this and it's stories like this that remind me why I love Star Wars. And even though I'm a little wishy-washy on Kenobi as itself, and I am currently pretty frustrated with Lucasfilm and a lot of the decisions that they make, there's still plenty of joyful, incredible, fun stuff that is coming. And so I wanted to talk about these reports with you. What do you think about this? What do you think about Vader being in Ahsoka? And what do you think about the Sith Lords being in the Acolyte?